Welcome to the Real Estate Investing Club. This is the place everyday real estate investors gather to share their best stories, biggest insights, and favorite tactics to grow a portfolio of cash flowing properties in today's market. Here's your host, Gabe Peterson.
All right. We are back with another episode of the Real Estate Investing Club. I hope you guys are having an absolutely fantastic Friday or Monday or Wednesday, whenever you're listening to this. It is a Friday here. I'm looking outside my window and there are buds on the trees outside. We're getting into spring. I'm super excited for it. And I'm also excited for our guest today because this is a little bit of a special episode for me, at least, because I always talk about mentors here on the podcast. You got to learn from somebody. It's the best way to go fast in real estate, to really make your game go quicker. And I learned from Matt Theriault. He's the guy that I bought his course, I don't know how many years ago, back in 2012, 2014. And now it's come full circle. He's on my podcast. I'm super excited to have you on, Matt. Thank you very much for hopping on the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, Gabe. And that's awesome to actually witness what came of you. That's good.
Yeah. You know, mentors come in all shapes and sizes. And I always say on this podcast, I don't know how many guests we've had, over 300. And everybody says that you got to learn from somebody. You have to, it doesn't matter if it's a one-on-one mentor, if it's a course, or if it's something, you have to be learning some kind of system from another person. And so I'm really grateful to have learned from you and your Epic Real Estate Academy, or I think it was Epic Pro Academy back in the day when I was taking it. But,
Pro Academy back then, yeah.
But I don't want to tell I don't want to tell your story for you. So I told you before we got on here, we like starting with stories. We like to hear how people got into real estate. So why don't we take us back to the beginning of your story? How'd you get started?
Sure. Yeah. I've told it 1,000 times. It gets more interesting each time. So I'll try and give you the best version. When I got out of the Marine Corps, I spent the next 15 years of my life in the music business and did really well for myself. I had a small little independent hip hop label with major label distribution and just did great. And then this one month, the sales didn't come in quite as much as they used to. And then the next month was a little worse. The next month was a little worse. And after 6 months, we weren't selling anything. And we got this giant return of product from the globe. And I was like, what in the hell happened? And there was this little thing emerged called Napster. I don't know if you remember that, if you're old enough.
Oh, yeah.
But all of a sudden, people stopped buying CDs and they started downloading them, and they were downloading them for free. And it just turned the whole industry upside down. And in hindsight, it's crystal clear. But when it was happening, we were like baffled, like what's going on? But so I went out and had to try and, find something else to do, and had to reinvent myself, and went through all different types of things. I went to go look at selling insurance and selling cars, because I didn't have the credentials or degree or anything like that. Just whatever could pay a lot, and ended up at a really high paying gig bagging groceries. And it was the only thing I could find. I had to eat. So after about 6 months of that, figuring out, okay, I better do something or else I might get stuck here for the rest of my life. And someone pointed me towards real estate. They knew I liked money, and they knew I missed my money. And they said, you know what, that's probably your best chance. It's where it's the final frontier where the average person has a legitimate shot at creating some real wealth. And at that point, I was like all out of options. I was like, okay, well, if that's the final option or the final frontier, and I'm feeling far below average right now, who am I to aspire bigger than that, is what I was kind of thinking. And so I did what I thought the logical thing was, and I became a real estate agent. And after about 4 years, I realized, wow, I think if real estate's where all the money's at, it's sitting on the other side of the desk, because I was witnessing what my clients were doing and comparing their profits to my commissions. And I was like, I'd rather have the profits. And so I made this decision that I was no longer going to represent other people on the behalf of their sales and purchases of real estate, and I was just going to act on my own behalf. So I don't know if you've ever been an agent. Hey, Gabe, did you ever play in that space at all? Okay.
Yeah, no, I got started straight. I was in corporate, so I was working at Microsoft, right. As a consultant, and I just went straight into real. Well, not really straight, but I ended up in real estate without becoming an agent.
Got it. You look great without your glasses. Maybe I do too. Okay, cool. I can't see you anymore, but it's all good. I became the agent, right? And I just thought that was like the place to go. And I made this transition. And getting your license does very little, if anything, to prepare you to be a real estate agent. And it does absolutely zero to prepare you to be a real estate investor. And so I made this significant investment in my own education, just like you did when we met a long time ago. And I made this big investment, and lucky I found a good spot right away. And I just kind of just did what they told me to do. And I would say, there's this little book. I doubt if you've heard of it. It's called Rich Dad Poor Dad. You heard this? It's like
The
an
little
obscure
purple
little book.
Bible. Yeah, we've it's been mentioned.
Yeah, I don't know
a few times
why
on
it's
this
not
show.
more popular, but it just introduced me to this concept of passive income, right? And a different definition of wealth. And I always thought, wealthy is having a lot of money in the bank, this big giant bank account. And I had that before in the music business, but I had to keep going to work, or else that giant balance got smaller and smaller and smaller when I stopped working. And so I just had this new concept around, okay, so the new definition of wealth is generating enough passive income so it exceeds our monthly expenses. And if that can come in with very little participation on your part, then that's truly wealthy. I mean, that's freedom. And so I accomplished that in just under 4 years. And having had both a lot of money and having to work, and not having that much money but not having to work, I liked the second one better. I really did.
Yep.
And I was just thinking, you were just talking about the concept of mentors, right? Like, no one even told us that in school. And certainly nobody told us about pursuing passive income over active income. No one told us that. They don't even tell you about entrepreneurship or anything, right? I just thought, like, wow, if they would have taught me this in high school, what a different life I would have had, and probably so many others as well.
Yep.
And so I went to this one little rah-rah thing. I was in this multi-level marketing thing for a second, and they had these giant rah-rah events. And there's this guy on stage, and I don't know if this was true or not, but it made a lot of sense at the time. He said, wealthy people, they get wealthy by doing in one way, one real way, is they get really good at one thing, and they generate multiple streams of income from that one thing. And they said the logical place for most people to start is to go out and be a consultant or a teacher or a tutor or a trainer or an educator like that. So like, okay, cool. So I kind of went that route and started doing that. And then I really got passionate about it when my wife got pregnant. And I was like, you know what? This is my opportunity, because I was always kind of envious of people that were born with rich families or born with entrepreneurial families. I mean, I came from a family of civil servants and the police officers and firefighters and aerospace engineers, stuff like that. But nobody had anything entrepreneurial in our family at all. And I was always envious of that, because I would thought, once you dig deeper into a lot of those types of stories, you see like, oh, his dad or his uncle or his next door neighbor or something, like something gave him a little leg up.
Yeah.
Just a testimony to the mentors, right? And so my son was being born. I was like, I want him to have that advantage.
Yep.
So then I got really passionate about the teaching part of it.
Yep.
And we built this whole thing, and here we are, almost 15 years later now. So I've been in the investing in the education business for almost as long as I was in the music business.
Nice. I love it. Well, I'm glad you jumped into the education side, because that is, as I said, that's how I first got my educational step into real estate. I think I waited a little bit too long, but that seems to be the case for most people. I wish I would have got started earlier in my career. But you're the one that I learned from, and I liked a lot of things about that you teach. My number one thing that I really enjoyed about your course was it wasn't a spreadsheet. It was you had a name for it, but it's basically every single action that you took, you put a point value to it, and you needed to get to 100 points.
It's called the Daily Success Report.
Yes, that one. I love that
concept.
It
to the Daily Navigator, but yes, go ahead.
Okay. And I don't want to, tell it for you, but the basic concept that you were teaching was that every action has a point value, and you need to get to 100 points every day. Doesn't matter how you got that. And there were different categories. It was like, some of it was education. Some of it was like a letter that you sent out was like 0.2 points or something like that. Talking to a seller was a point. I don't remember the actual values, but that was the gist of it. If it added up to 100 at the end of the day, you get enough of those days in a row, you're going to see success no matter what. And I like that, because it meant, when I was just getting started, I was like, what if I fail? It takes out that element of failure, because you're going to fail. It's guaranteed. You're going to be failing many times throughout your career. But if you just keep going and you just keep making those actions, those incremental actions, eventually you're going to get to where you want to go. Do you still use that same concept in your course and your teaching today, or has it changed at all?
Yeah, 100%. It's the only way I can guarantee a student's success.
Yeah.
Because we all know real estate works. You just look around, there's plenty of evidence there, and there's plenty of people and stories that right? We know that works. And I've got, after 15 years, I'll put my success stories, my case studies up against anybody as far as proof that what we do here is works. But I still can't make that guarantee to a brand new person because they're the big variable in the middle. But I do know if that person executes the money-making activities consistently and with persistence, the law of cause and effect says they have to succeed.
Yep.
And so that's, I can't see us running a coaching or a training business in any other way.
Yep. And that even that concept, my investing company is called Kaizen Properties. I named it that. Kaizen, it's, Toyota made the
constant never-ending improvement.
Exactly.
Right?
Never-ending improvement. Yeah. So if you just keep doing those small things every single day, eventually you're going to get there. I love that concept. The other thing that I took from your that I really enjoyed about your teachings was, and I still use it to this day. Now I'm in commercial. I don't do single family, but the letter of intent, you had your 3 option, I think it was called the 3 option letter of intent.
Yeah.
Yours is a little bit different than mine today, but I think you had the seller financing, the interest only, and then the cash. Is that still still in the course?
Before we continue on with today's guest, I want to tell you guys about a community I'm launching on School to help investors like yourself grow your own portfolio. In this community, you'll get access to all the docs I use, all the systems I've built, everything I've used to grow my own portfolio, as well as instructions and guidance on how to get out there and find great deals, how to finance those deals, and then how to manage them for great returns. Since we're just launching it, the price will be set at a measly $20 per month, and whatever price you join at is the price you'll have for life. We will be increasing the price as the group grows, so if you're at all interested in growing your portfolio along other investors, now is the time to join. I will put the link somewhere in the bio or on our podcast website at therealestateinvestingclub.com, so if you are interested, head on over there. With that said, let's get back to the podcast.
Oh, it's a major tool. Ours has changed quite a bit as well. We've adopted it, or we've changed it to basically it's a 2 option disguised as a 3. It's where it's the low ball all cash offer. We're going for the equity play.
Yep.
Then the second one is the seller financed offer, and it's creatively worded so it's principal only payments. And so there's the second one. And the third one is if you want to get top dollar for your house, I have a great real estate agent I can refer you to.
Okay.
Right. So we kind of did that. We kind of narrowed it down. Here's our 2 options, and kind of used the third one as like, oh gosh, I guess I better pick one of these other 2. Right.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And so we've just changed that. Actually, well, if you want the secret, the way we've changed it to now.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Okay. So we changed it because we got enough of those people that said, you know what, maybe it is best I go with a real estate agent. Thank you for the connection. Right. Mm-hmm. And, real estate agents aren't typically, there's some good ones out there, but they're not the sharpest tools in the shed. And they don't have the drive and the motivation and that you really need to, like, okay, I set you up with a listing presentation, go close it, sell it, and send me a referral fee. Right.
Yeah.
And, there's, I'm kind of busy right now, or I'm out to lunch, or I'm on vacation, and there wasn't that urgency. So we lose a lot of deals because of the drive or the lack of drive that the real estate agent had. So what we started doing now is our third option is a novation agreement.
Okay.
Where we take control of the property and then we go hire the agent ourselves.
I have heard one of my partners on the commercial side, he does novations. I've heard of it. I have no idea what it actually is. Can you just give like a 30,000 foot view? What is a novation? What is it? What's the concept?
Sure. Yeah. I don't know if you follow Pace Morby. He came out with, he kind of started making that term really, really popular. And, he's the creative real estate guy too. But he said he had never said anything ever before that I didn't. Oh yeah, I know that. I do all that on myself. I do it in my sleep. No big deal. I understand. But he kept dropping this word novation agreement. I was like, what in the hell is that? I'm afraid to ask because now I'm going to look dumb. Right. So I went and just Googled it and I figured out kind of what it was. And I did one of these a long time ago. I just didn't know that's what it was called. And it was where you kind of partner with the seller. And how we did it was we would put the property under contract and then we'd have like 90 days to close. But while we put it under contract, we'd go and do some repairs, increase the value. And then we'd split the profits with the seller when we went and sold it for full retail.
Oh,
okay. Okay. Right. So we don't actually take ownership right away. We take, we're partners. We do the rehab, then go sell it and get the profit off the retail market that way. So that's what I did. And then I started listening to more to what Pace was talking about. It sounds like that he was doing. I was like, okay, I got it. I've done that before. No big deal. We didn't use a novation agreement. We used a trust to execute the same strategy. And then there's this other guy. Oh my gosh, he was just on my podcast. His name escapes me. And we were talking about novations. I said, oh yeah, this is what it is. Oh, no. This is how we do it. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's how I'm going to put it into my 3-option letter of intent now. So it's basically say my lowball all cash offer is $200,000. And my seller financed offer is, I always put that at full retail because it's principal only. So say full retail is $400,000. So I got $200,000, $400,000. And they're like, no, we need a lot more than that. So we promised them, say, a net of $300,000. And so what we'll do is we'll execute this novation agreement. So we promise them a net of $300,000. We get permission to go and take it out to the open market. We find a retail buyer. And so we bring it back. And so whatever we can sell it above $300,000, we'll pay the closing costs and the real estate or the agent fees. And we get to keep the difference there. And when you start doing the math, there's actually a little bit more profit there than there is actually wholesaling it. And so we're kind of positioning that and incorporating that many more times into our business now.
Nice. I love it. Yeah, I like adding new strategies. There's always so many. I mean, it's one of the reasons I love real estate is there's so many ways to do it. There's so many different things you can implement. Yeah. In terms of how you guys are executing your business today, are you do you do any of the I think you do multifamily. Do you do any other asset classes, or is it mostly, single family?
Mostly single family. It's almost all single family. We've done plenty of multifamily, but it's always been by way of marketing to a single family owner who happened to own multifamily.
Gotcha.
And so that's how we've incorporated the multifamily into our portfolio, but we haven't got after it intentionally, no.
Gotcha. And you guys are still focused down in Southern Cal?
No, I'm nationwide. So I'm living in Vegas now too, though. So we are our own internal Mercedes and our efforts are really focused here in Vegas. We have a turnkey operation though that's nationwide. We're in 10 different markets across the nation. So we're very active and got our finger on the pulse of the whole market. But that's how we're diversified.
Very cool. I love it. So another thing that I really liked about your course was your marketing.
I love this interview. Just keep on telling me what you like about it.
I know, right? It's a little pump version of it. You talked a lot about your marketing. You did a lot of off-market marketing and your yellow letters. That was the thing that I got my first wholesale. I remember it was $5,000, a whole $5,000 for that first wholesale, but it felt like $1 million because I got it done. The first one is always the hardest. So I feel like 5,000 seems to be the number that most people get on their first wholesale anyways.
It seems like it's right around that range. Yep, for sure.
Yeah.
Either just on that first one, they can't believe it's working and they're kind of afraid to ask for more because they don't want to ruin it. It's kind of what I'm thinking happens.
Yep, exactly. So that's what I did. I did the yellow letters, sent them out. And I remember you guys did yellow letters, bandit signs. There's a few others. I can't remember what it was. Or have you changed your off-market strategy at all? Or are you guys still doing the yellow letter, still doing the bandit signs?
Yeah. I mean, the thing about marketing, we want to be real estate investors, but you're really a marketer first. Because if you can't market and generate those off-market opportunities, then you're never going to buy at a discount. You have to go through an agent. You have to pay retail. You're going to have to put down payments. You have to qualify for loans. You're not going to be able to do anything creatively. So you have to become a really good marketer. And, there's just every time a marketing strategy gets popular, the marketers, they ruin everything, right? They'll just overdo it. So, there's a good little era there where the Google Street View postcards were really popular and generating a lot of response, right? Because they're sending out this postcard, had a picture of their house on it. They're like, hey, what's this all about? When people started using the texting, that got really popular because it was really effective right away. Yeah, and now those have become much less effective. Say again?
Yeah. Super cheap too.
Super cheap. Yes. Everyone whoever let that cat out of the bag should have kept that cat in and they'd probably still be crushing right now. But every kind of marketing strategy or technique goes through its phase and the consumer just becomes smarter and smarter and smarter. So you have to constantly try and penetrate and get their attention, get them to read it, get them to take action. And so what we're doing right now, like in direct mail, like those postcards and everything don't work as well. We just tried this. We went back to like the regular old yellow one that looks like a bandit sign type thing. And we're using like a texting call to action, like text the keyword to such and such for an offer, and it takes them to a little texting chat bot thing. And so that it works okay, but I think people are just skeptical of the text now from strangers. Like they just won't click on any links anymore, and because we can see if they do or not. So we started doing now is, and I think this is really good, especially if you're on a budget, if you have a small marketing budget. And this has always kind of been the advice, is that you kind of take this sniper approach to your lists, and you layer multiple factors of distress on top of each other, so you get this highly targeted list. So odds are that's going to be a more motivated list than if you went broad. Yeah. And, if you can go broad, because that's the best way to do it. But if you don't have the budget for it, then this would be the second best way. But when you pull out that list, and although the percentages might be in your favor that they're more motivated, if you're sending the same little piece of mail that all the other people are sending, and that person just happens to be on the broad list too, then it doesn't really differentiate, right? It doesn't really help. So this is what we're doing now, and is we've gotten a system in place to get very, very personal with letters that is speaking directly to that person's specific pain points, matching those pain points up with what we do as investors as their solutions, and then painting this nice, beautiful picture of what life is going to be like after they're done.
Yep.
And so we've put this process in place to whether, say we took an absentee owner that was behind on their property taxes and they inherited the property. So those are like three very different situations that have three different pain points. But when you consolidate a letter in a nice, concise form, and it hits all those pain points, we can kind of imagine what you're going through. And we did this, we have all this away, and you can turn the page in life and move on. And then as far as the handwritten part, now they've got these little warehouses of robots where they put the actual pen in the robot's hand, and now they're writing it. And so it looks like somebody actually wrote the letter. Like this S and this word and this S and this word look entirely different. It's not a font. So we're getting a great response with that on very small marketing budgets. So that's something that we're kind of big on right now.
Cool. I love it. What resource can you provide people for, like the handwritten letters, anything like that?
Well, our data and the handwritten letters is all in one system now that we're using, called Deal Engineer.
Okay.
And they're the first platform. There might be another one, or I'm sure there will be soon, but they're the first platform that's incorporated the artificial intelligence as far as creating the predictability of when a property is going to sell and what type of sale it's going to be. Is it going to be a retail sale? Is it going to be a wholesale sale? Like that.
Interesting.
So we're using that with great success, and that's all inside. But there's other handwritten places. There's ink.com, I think. There's Felt, and then there's handwritten something. So there's a lot of those different platforms that you can do that as well. You don't have to get that. So if you have your data resources already, you can kind of create those letters that way and get the kind of same similar effect.
Cool. And how many touch points do you guys have? Do you send out a letter, and then you'll send out a postcard, and then you'll send out
all right, now you want the secret, the secret sauce. All right. So what we'll do is we'll create these letters in a campaign, assuming that they're going through the 5 stages of grief.
Oh, yeah.
And so like they kind of touch on where they would be at that point in the process.
Oh, wow.
So
okay.
Each letter is very different. It's very personal. It's talking about, like, then we get angry with them. You know what I mean? Like that big old mean bank. They won't stop calling you. Just want to take your house away. Let's say we screw them, and at least you walk away with something, right? So that type of feel. And the other one is like, one might be very emotional. One might be empathetic. And, life isn't fair. We get it. And just creating relatedness like that. So we'll it depends. I mean, it's probably 3 to 5.
Okay.
But then once we actually talk to them, now we got them in you probably remember the red, green, brown apples. Do you remember that?
I don't remember that, actually.
Okay. So the red apples are those that need to sell. The green are the ones that
yep, I remember this. Yep.
And the brown are they're curious about selling, right? So you want to spend all of your time with the red apples. You want your follow-up system to spend all of the time with the green and the brown. So we have customized follow-up sequences. That's a combination of letters, text messages, ringless voicemail, and email. That's kind of going along line with their motivation. So, and that same personal situation is in place there. So fortune is in the follow-up. I wish that I could just send out one postcard and close 100 deals.
Yeah.
But if you send out one postcard, you can close 100 deals if you follow up with all the leads it generated.
Yep. Yeah. I remember that. you said, and I apologize for people listening. I think we're getting a little bit of internet problems here. It might be on my end, which I apologize. I got the highest internet package they offered out here, but I guess it's not enough. I remember about the Apple thing. You would say that the red apples are only about 5% of the leads that come in, and this is something that I took from your course, and I've taken from a lot of people's content that I've consumed. And I think everybody who wants to get into real estate, who really wants to see success, take this to heart. It takes a lot more volume, and when it comes to lead generation, marketing, to get a deal done than you think. Like 1%. Think of just the smallest infinitesimal amount of return for the number that you put out there. But it doesn't matter if you send 10,000 cards. You only need one to make those 10,000 cards letters have a positive ROI. So, yep, I love that. I just took a peek at the clock. It looks like we've already run it down. Before we move on to the quick question round, I do have to ask, what's next for you guys? I know you're still doing a lot out there in Vegas. What's the big picture for Epic Real Estate?
The big picture right now is, I don't know, just in the last few days. I've been saying this for about 4 years now, that we have this big disparity between the number of people that are walking the earth right now and how many houses we have available, right? We're in a 10-year shortage in building. So there's a massive imbalance between the demand for the amount of supply that we have. And I've been pushing this for a really long time. Like, I just see it like go all in. But it's really kind of my opinion. I don't hear a lot of people using that as a foundation for their reason for what they do. But if you just saw this week, Blackstone came out and reported their first quarter loss in I don't know, years. And it was all because of all of the real estate holdings that they have. So there's a big giant loss in the real estate side. But the next day, they announced that they just raised $40 billion to buy more real estate.
Right.
Right.
Because it's still going to go up.
Yes, that is probably the smartest money out there. And it's the most powerful money out there. And so just follow what the smart people are doing, the powerful people are doing. I'd say you want to buy as much as real estate as you possibly can while you can. Because there's a potential, you get a Blackstone, they get some sort of competitor out there, which there's probably a few, and they start competing. There's not going to be any houses. The only way you're going to be able to have a house is build one yourself.
Yeah.
And that's just, and the builder confidence is going in the wrong direction right now. So they're not like ramping up building to catch up. Like, they're actually going the other direction. So if you can control the supply with the demand is already built in, I don't see a safer bet for the long term than real estate right now.
And you're talking single family real estate, just your bread and butter.
Something that people live in. I have no problem with multifamily either. I mean, people need a roof over their head. So either they're going to buy it from someone who owns it, or they're going to rent it from someone that owns it. And so the person that's in control of it, whether they do sell it or rent it out, they're in the driver's seat. They're in control. They got their own little cash register hooked right up to their business.
Yep, I love it. All right, that wraps it up for the first section. It's time to jump into the quick question round. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Go.
Let's do it. Starts with books or any form of education. I need 2 recommendations, one for general life wisdom, one for real estate.
All right. Awaken the Giant Within, still the greatest book ever for personal development, in my opinion, with Tony Robbins. 30 years old. It's as valid today as it was then. For real estate, I'll throw one that probably no one has ever said. I'm going to say The Slight Edge. And it's the foundation of the Daily Navigator report. Yeah.
Okay. Nice. The Slight Edge. Is it who wrote The Slight Edge?
Jeff Olson.
Jeff Olson, not Gary Keller.
Yep. And just taking those small little activities on a daily basis, and they'll compound and they'll produce the result. And there's no way that you can lose if you incorporate that practice.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, I love that concept. It's my favorite idea. Awaken the Giant Within. I've heard that so many times. I haven't picked it up. I swear I've read every, self-development kind of that style of book out there, but I still haven't picked up any of Tony Robbins' books. So I'll have to grab that and take a peek.
That's the one. The book is very different than the audiobook too. So if anyone is considering doing that.
And you're saying the book is better than the audiobook?
Better.
Okay.
Yeah, they cut out all kinds of stuff on the audiobook. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Next question. And this is for your younger self. So let's go back to the mat. who was still working in the entertainment industry. He had no idea that CDs were on their way out. Let's go back to him, look him in the eye, give him one piece of advice moving forward.
Buy real estate. I wanted to come up with something really creative, but I didn't buy any real estate until I was over 40 years old.
There you go.
I'd have bought that when I was 25 and had a bunch of money in the bank. Oh my gosh, who knows where I'd be today?
Yep. For anybody who's, I know some of you guys out there are keeping track. I say this almost every single episode because nearly every guest that comes on this podcast, I ask this question and they say they wish they got started earlier. So if you are out there, you haven't bought your first piece of real estate, just get in the game, go out there, get something done, learn from somebody, go to epicrealestate.com, learn from Matt, check out any of my content on YouTube. You can learn from me. Just get in there and get it done. Everybody says they wish they got started earlier. So there you go.
Yeah. Can I add just some caveats to that one? I know
Okay.
this is the last question around, but buy real estate, but focus on creating streams of income, not piles of cash. Okay. The streams of income. And the next part, and I should have included this in the book thing too, but profit first has been the biggest life changer of my entire life.
Wow. Okay.
By Mike Michalowicz.
Yeah, I've heard that one too. And again, I haven't read it, so I'm going to have to pick that one up.
So if you had a passive income mindset and incorporated the concepts of profit first, it doesn't take long to become financially free that way.
Yeah, and that's the thing is people don't realize, or I didn't realize how quickly you can really, I don't know what however you want to call it, escape the rat race or become financially free. You can cover your life expenses very quickly in real estate. It doesn't take a portfolio of 10,000 properties. You can do it a lot faster than you think. So again, if you're waiting on the fence, just go out there, get it done. You're gonna be thankful that you did.
Yep.
All right. Next question. This is about your business. All our businesses are run on systems and people, and the first three positions really make a difference. So, what are the first three positions you hired for, and would you do it differently if you started again today?
Bookkeeper for sure. If you try to go back after a year or so, that can be really, really messy. So just make sure you got someone keeping the books right up front. As far as the real estate specific, I would say operations, managing the administration, managing the paperwork, keeping everything organized is a big one. And then the third one, I think acquisitions are the most important, but I think that as a real estate entrepreneur starting out, that's probably the last position you should let go of. Is what I'm thinking.
Yeah, talking with the sellers in person, kind of having somebody at the beginning, at the front, just that first line of defense is good. But I totally agree. You got to be talking with the sellers. You have to be interacting with them. Understanding what their needs are, what their desires are. I like that.
Yep. So I would say outsource the marketing as soon as possible, so your lead flow is consistent.
Yep. Yeah, and that's the easiest thing to outsource. Actually, is that marketing piece.
Yeah,
you got to set up those systems, but once you get it done, it's a lot easier. All right, next question. This is about the United States. It's a big place, a lot of square miles out there. Give me one metro you're most excited about investing in today.
I think. I don't know. There's no reason to change, but I think what the market that's been the best to me has been Birmingham, Alabama.
Interesting. All right.
I think it's had the best combination between cash flow and appreciation.
You're the first person to say Birmingham as their main metro. I've heard Birmingham is a good place to invest, but the first person to say that, especially in Alabama, that's really interesting.
There's Mercedes there and Nike's there and the aerospace engineers. They got the military there. They got all kinds of jobs. Everybody got jobs there.
All right. That's what we like to hear. Birmingham, Alabama. All right. Next question is, we've already talked about this a lot, but now you got to choose your number one favorite. So what is your favorite way to find good deals?
You cut out, the internet got you right there. The favorite way to what?
To find good deals.
Favorite way. My favorite way are referrals.
There you go. We always say relationships, or real estate is about relationships. Every business is about relationships, but I feel like real estate especially is very a relationship based game. So And it's a great way, especially, I mean, on commercial side, if you just talk with brokers, eventually you're going to find a deal, because once it hits the market, and I'm not saying this about every single deal, there are good deals out there on market, but generally a good deal is going to be snatched up before it hits that market. So go out there, meet people, start building relationships. Moves us on to the next question. And this is about mentors. None of us are islands. We all stand on the shoulders of giants. So who is one mentor who has contributed significantly to your career today?
Probably the most significant would be the grocery store manager that told me about real estate.
Nice. I like it.
You know,
he told you about real estate. I like it. Okay.
Yeah, he'd been there. He started bagging groceries and pushing carts there when he was 16.
Wow.
And when I was there at 34, he was 34. And he was 2 years away from being at 20 years. And he would have pulled out, I think, 75% of his full salary for the rest of his life. And he showed me, he said, you know what? But along the way, I've been able to pick up a couple apartment buildings, and the cash flow of my apartment buildings will exceed that salary pension for the rest of my life. And I was like, all right.
Nice. I like that.
That's what was the moment where I was convinced.
Yeah. And and that's the thing. I mean, not in coastal markets. Well, most markets now, it's very difficult to be picking up properties on the salary of a grocery store clerk. But there are, there's central markets that you can still pick up properties for pretty good deals. So you don't need a shit ton of money in order to get this going. I like to hear that the grocery store manager was the guy that kind of got you going. And that leads us to your strengths. We are all gifted with gifts that we uniquely provide this world. So what is your Superman strength?
I would say my creativity when it comes to my marketing and when it comes to my deal structure. I think that has been my strength if I look back. And I'm really, really good on the phone. I'm really good with the people. I'm really good talking to them and coming to a win-win agreement. I just don't like it that much.
Yeah.
Right. But the creativity part and generating the marketing pieces and putting the deals together after there's been an agreement, that's my favorite part. So it's probably what I'm best at.
Yeah. And that's a super useful skill to have, because I don't know how many times after, I've been interacting with the seller for however long, and then we finally say, okay, we part ways. This isn't going to work. A month down the line, I'm thinking, damn it. If only I had done this strategy would have worked in this situation. So creativity is super, super important, especially when you're trying to structure a deal. That leads us to the very last question. This is for the listeners. You've given us a lot to think about. I'm sure people want to reach out, get in contact with you, learn more about Epic Real Estate. So what's the best way for them to get in contact with you?
Well, our main website is epicrealestate.com, but we just launched this new thing for 2023 called our Earn While You Learn program. So if you go to epicearnwhileyoulearn.com, it's a very, very easy way to get started with some basic education. And then we'll show you how to go out and find the deals. And if you want to, you can leverage my acquisition team to go negotiate and close them for you. And then we'll split it with you 50-50. So that's been our latest development. It's been very successful, very popular. So if you just want to learn about me, epicrealestate.com, there's all my news there. But then if you actually want to work with me on a very introductory level and dip your toe in the water, you can go to epicearnwhileyoulearn.com.
Perfect. I love it. I will put those links in the show notes. So if y'all want to reach out to Matt, just go ahead and click the little more link on the description. It'll pull down the full description. In there, you can find both of those links, Epic Real Estate and epicearnwhileyoulearn.com. All right, man, that wraps it up. Again, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much for hopping on the show.
Thanks, Gabe. Thanks for having me. You have to come on my show because now I can show the success story.
Absolutely. I'd love to.
Congrats to you.
Thank you. For everybody who's here with us today, thank you guys for showing up. You are the reason we do this. So if you guys have any questions whatsoever, reach out to me, Gabe at therealestateinvestingclub.com. And if you guys want to support the show, all we ask is you give us a like, subscribe, share, all that jazz. Other than that, I hope you guys have an absolutely fantastic week. Keep rocking real estate, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode. All right, before I officially sign off, I have a quick announcement to make. If you're interested in becoming a passive investor in one of my deals, my own company, Kaizen Properties, is looking for capital partners for our upcoming projects. We invest in what are known as recession-resistant assets, mainly self-storage facilities, mobile home and RV parks, and industrial properties. If you're interested in investing and would like to learn a little bit more about my company, our investing criteria, and some of the previous projects we've done, go to the Real Estate Investing Club podcast at therealestateinvestingclub.com and scroll all the way down to the bottom of the page. Click on the Invest With Us button. That'll pop up the investor form. Fill that out, and we will reach back out to you as soon as we can. Or if you prefer a little bit more of a personal touch, you can reach out to me at gabe@therealestateinvestingclub.com. So really, that is it. Again, it was a pleasure hanging out with you guys during this episode, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.